Look, we're stuck in the system, we can't get out. It's time for a change, stop running your mouth. I'm looking for words, but I can't get it out. Look for the light, but the sun blotted out.
Hold on, let me hop on the beat. Cause social injustice and prisoner mindset is something we gotta defeat. We idle these hoes and wear all these clothes with shoes that can't be creased. Steady looking for substance and change, but we searching all up in these streets.
Got a stain on my shirt that I can't get out. My people on high like the top of the mount. We thirsting for truth, but there's no spout. Look for a savior, but no one around.
But no one's around, but where do they look? It ain't in the church, it ain't in the book. We can't get a job, so we rather crook. They got us in chains, a fish on the hook.
Look, harvesting not bodies, harvesting not organs. Got 'em real big mad, cause they culture boring. Pimping the poor, Jim Crow at the door. Selling our souls, our daughter's a whore. I wanna give in, can't take it no more. Don't wanna believe our people are more.
We swept our cart when we look at decline. We got a new bottle, it's filled with...
Good morning and welcome to another Malcolm Mega Culture Move podcast, where we cover everything from intense social topics to funny social trends. We are your hosts, Mark Jonathan,
AJ, Mario,
and Aja.
And as always, we have a wonderful podcast for you all today. But before we get started, if we can have our brief disclaimer.
You know, with our brief disclaimer, I feel like a lot of the things we say is our own opinion. So as being a part of Malcolm, we do not represent Malcolm on this podcast as far as our opinions goes. If you guys have anything that you might feel a certain type of way, if you feel like, oh, well, I really don't like what he said, first try to digest what that was said or what was said, but B, we're always open for discussion. So you can always come to us and say, well, is that the way you saw it? Maybe it was a different point of view that we have. Maybe it was a different perspective, but we have that opportunity to talk as well. So without further ado, let's get started.
I thought I was on mute. I appreciate you. Let's go ahead and start with our check-ins. I'll go first since I'm already talking. I'm doing well. We have our safe zone. You feel me? So make sure y'all tap into that. Please and thank you. We'll have food, music, a little chess going on. Something to do for the kids, you feel me? So definitely go ahead and swing by if you can. But yeah, overall doing well, family's doing well, and I'll pass it to Aja.
I'm doing pretty good. I don't really have much to report on, nothing to really talk about necessarily, but I'm doing good. And I'll pass it to Aaron.
All right, I'm great today. I think this is like the end all, be all of the, Maker Creative Program for about 2-3 months. We about to go on a little hiatus, but it does transfer to the summer facilitation program. So that is exciting. That'll be a great opportunity for any youth who are looking to develop their skills, as well as young adults, as well to potentially be on board with the process going into the fall. So just looking forward to that. Good safe zone, just everything else, getting it to fall in place. But yeah, Mario.
All is well my way. Basking in the good weather that we having. It's been cold earlier this week. My spirit's high today and ready to have a good podcast.
All right.
Heard you. So, real excited to hear that y'all are doing well. We're going to go ahead and jump into our first segment today, which is our Black Affirmations. For us today.
So today today my message, I guess, is don't be afraid of growth and character development. And that came from, a close friend of mine, we were talking and we just kind of reflected on high school and how we were socially in high school and how we both kind of dislike who we were in high school, whether it was the drama or just our personalities, even just different stuff like that. So, I mean, as we grow, of course, we change, we mature, we become more responsible. Our character just develops in different ways. And, sometimes that may separate us from people that we hold close to each other, or close to us. But with that being said, don't be afraid of developing your character and kind of embracing those changes that come along with life. So
Cool.
100. Just to kind of relate to that, I've been reading books, and the reason I say that like that is because if you knew me throughout high school, like I was a Spark Notes person, or I was a Scam the Book person. I've honestly read more books in the past, I'll just say month, than I have like the entirety of high school and college, which is kind of it's bad to say, but I mean, I'm just proud. I'm accepting my change. I have goals. You know what I had to do to reach them, and these books have honestly been like a real eye opener. So definitely offered a change in character development for me.
I think it's easier to read books when you're able to choose them. Like in high school, 9 times out of 10 is chosen for you, and if you don't like it, you kind of stuck with it. But
Or like we had to read The Great Gatsby, and I'm like, I watched the movie.
Yeah, I think too. Like a lot of the times when we want to change and we have these like things, like it's like you get that high school book and you're like, man, this book is boring. Sometimes those books are boring. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, not every book is the greatest book, but a lot of those books do have some content, and they do like give you that storytelling element, as well as creativity. And I think it also really just the repetition of a book, no matter if you read something that's like, if you read something that's very minor with a little bit of pictures, or if you read something that's 400 or 500 pages, I think the repetition of reading overall is going to help anybody. It's just a discipline, the eye thing. So really, when you can change and be a better person at the end of the day, when you have that control, then I think that's better rather than being forced.
Heard you.
Yeah.
Heard you.
Got anything? All right.
Heard you. Well, I appreciate you, Aja. We're gonna go ahead and move into our next segment, which was our Black Excellence. And for today, the first thing I will say, and this is coming by way of blacknews.com, a couple graduated from med school and got married in the same week. So we have Mr. Dwight Johnson II and Taylor Brooks, but obviously soon to be Taylor Johnson, or unless she keeps her name the same. I don't know. I don't know why people do that, but So both of them graduated on May 15th as a medical student from the institution, which is one of the 4 HBCUs located in Nashville. They both have been scholarship recipients, so snaps to that. And they both graduated on May 15th. Dwight as an OBGYN physician, and Taylor as a physician of psychiatry. Okay, I don't know why I struggle with that. It's psychiatry, but and then less than 2 weeks, they were married at a beautiful ceremony with all their friends and family, just on May 21st. So just shout out to them for achieving what so few of us do, you feel me, graduating through med school. It's a field that we desperately need more of us. And then, taking that life step and going ahead and getting married, settled down, staying monogamous, hopefully. That's just really dope. Shout out to them, you feel me? Anything on that before I move on?
Amazing what we can do when we work together.
Yeah, heard you. That's what we can do when we work together. So secondly, I have five Black food innovators. You feel me? So I was real hungry this morning. I felt like this is something that could be very beneficial to learn. You feel me? That still relates to our topic. So the first one I have for us today is James Hemings. So even though Jefferson is sometimes credited for bringing foods like mac and cheese and ice cream to America, it was James Hemings that actually learned to make them. So, you feel me? Typical situation, especially back then. I believe it was like late 1800s, if I'm not mistaken. I believe it was 1870. But yeah. Next, we have George Crumb. The invention of the potato chip was accidental. In fact, legend has it that it was born out of spite. Didn't have too much information on that, but yeah, I do know the name George Crumb. So, Madeline M. Turner. Juicers are so common now, and it's hard to imagine that all juicing was done by hand. Madeline M. Turner, a black woman, excuse me, a black woman from Oakland knew that there must be a better way to enjoy fresh fruit, so she did the juice. Um, George Washington Carver. Contrary to popular belief, George Washington Carver did not actually invent the peanut butter, but he did invent 300 different uses for peanuts in an effort to encourage farmers to plant peanuts. So this was an interesting one because I definitely thought he invented peanut butter, but I googled it and everything. Like, oh, can you hear me, Asha? Oh, so it must be just be Aaron's. I'm gonna go ahead and wait. What is this talking about?
I seen that, but I'm not really sure which segment. It was like 3 minutes ago.
Oh, if you could elaborate for us, I'd appreciate it. Because I definitely like wanting to get to your comment. But for the last one I had, let me go back to my notes, was Joseph Lee. Worked in a bakery from a young age in an effort to minimize bread waste. He invented a machine that would convert day-old bread into breadcrumbs that could be used in other recipes. So just ultimate shout out to them, you feel me? Definitely some innovators of some great food and ideas. And yeah, anything to say on that while I try to get Aaron back on?
I don't know what's going on with my voice today, but I don't know. It's just like a cool thing, especially with the reinventing purposes of bread, like old bread and stuff like that, because bread goes bad kind of fast. So to be able to repurpose it after it's starting to, get old or whatever, that did help a lot. So
Most definitely. Most definitely. Again, to Dashi, I don't want to mispronounce your name, but if you could elaborate for us, I'd appreciate it. But moving on, does anybody have anything for entertainment?
If y'all were following the Young Thug and Gunna case, as far as that goes, their bond was denied, and I believe, what was it? They either the trial starts or something like that in January. So,
Dang, in January,
yeah.
that's tough. That's tough. And they got denied bond.
That's that situation's just that's a stressful situation.
Man,
Especially to be in there that long with that much, pending stuff going on. That's stressful, like you said.
yeah, man. And if they deny bond, it's because they probably think they gonna run or something. And I wouldn't blame them from running from a RICO. I ain't gonna lie, but I mean,
I think most of the time, Fed cases or RICOs, like they deny the bond. They never really let anybody out, anything like that. Like I know people who've had like murder cases that they let out, but like besides that, like something that's like over like a span of time that they have like a great amount of evidence for, they feel like they really can't risk letting you out or just risk exposure. So,
fact.
but Yeah. All right, we're gonna move on to sports. You know what I'm saying, with these NBA playoffs, it's final three. The Warriors finished off the Dallas Mavericks last night. By one. And then we got the Heat down 3-2. And looking like the Boston Celtics. It might be a Celtics Warriors finals, to be honest with you. But I do believe the system of the Miami Heat, but the players are banged up right now. So a lot of the times when you got Jimmy Butler who's hurt, he got like an issue with his knee, and then Kyle Lowry as well. It's just like a recipe for like, okay, whoever's the healthiest team will win, and most likely even the Celtics not even being that healthy, looking like it's gonna be a Warriors dub.
Man, I just hope whoever win beat the Warriors. I hate them.
Yeah, it's like at first I was like loving it, the fact that like, oh yeah, like they kind of getting back, but then it just brought me so many memories of like the Stack KD thing, and then just like the nonstop shooting threes. So like then that's like, I'm like, yeah, no, we don't need that again in the NBA. Like stop. But I mean, if nobody beats them, then hey, they earned it, right? So
Heck no, they didn't.
he said, hey.
I don't care, man. The Warriors, man.
But
you know, all respect to, you know, their organization, I guess. I don't know. Ooh.
They whooped the system.
Tomatoes,
They sat players and had players injured for a couple of years, so that way they can get high draft picks and build their backups and benches again. So I mean, it is what it is at the end of the day.
Well, they suck, regardless. But moving on. So really, you know what I'm saying, with the NFL, they training camp is coming ahead. So if you got a favorite NFL team, stuff like that, they're gonna start practicing and stuff. They've started practicing, just getting ready for these summer workouts and stuff like that. As well, baseball, the Rockies are mid-level. You know, they middle of the pack, but you know, it's the Colorado Rockies, so still gonna support them no matter what. Because like, why not? Like, it's the Colorado Rockies. Like, we gotta remember, like last year we had the All-Star game here. Like, so that was like great. I think it was great in reboosting our economy. In a way, so just even supporting that aspect of it, yeah. But that's all I got for sports. Mario, you got anything?
Didn't the Avalanche just beat the Blues, St. Louis Blues?
Yep.
Last night,
Like playoffs.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you know, shout out Denver, kicking butt, taking names in hockey.
Yeah. Hockey's more like, I never got into hockey, but I always was like that'd be something cool to get into. Like it's just been one of those sports that like you gotta like pay so much money to get into it that it's like ridiculous for certain demographics to get into it. Let's just put it that way.
I feel you.
Like that, like, you know what I mean? Your equipment is like expensive, and that's like personal equipment. So like, yeah. But yeah. If no one has anything else, any other topics, anything else regarding just the news world or anything like that before we get into our main topic.
Nah, just talking more about hockey. I never saw myself getting into it, but it would have been fun to just drop your gloves and you feel me? Like, you can't do that nowhere else without getting, you know, fired, fined, whatever the case may be. But yeah, man. But yeah, we could go ahead and move to our main topic.
All right. I think really with our main topic today, with a bunch of stuff going on, we gonna get into like the new like viruses, like the monkeypox coming up soon later on. But really, at first, I want to talk about mental health, and then just going back because we had the shooting that we talked about last podcast, and now we have another situation that happened in Texas. And so, really, with this, I just want to bring up the idea of mental health, and as far as like with our community, as far as in the world today, what do you guys feel like our state of mental health is?
I feel like mental health, it's been within our generation. I'm a believer in the same generation, but our generation, it's been talked about more, brought up more. But then I feel like with the older generation, they kind of take it as a joke. So our generation, we see it as what it is being detrimental, whatever. But then, like I said, the older generations kind of don't believe in it. And I feel like that's because, especially within our community and our ethnicity or whatever, we are very strong people. Even if we're sensitive or whatever, we all kind of put up a guard to a certain extent to where we don't show our emotions or we don't know how to deal with them. And so because of that, I feel like that is why the older generation doesn't really feed into it, because even though they may have felt depressed or they may be depressed or they may struggle with their mental health, they still don't really know how to deal with those emotions. So they put them off. So they kind of expect us to do the same thing. So that's how I feel.
I say overall, something I heard a speaker say by the name of Pete Hershelman, you feel me? A lot of times, especially in this generation or this day that we live in, rather, we hear the term overwhelmed a lot. You feel me? So it's the idea of always having something on your mind, or something bothering you, or too much going on. You feel me? So just kind of with these recent events, all that's doing is just adding more on the plate of parents who have to take their kids to school every day, people that regularly grocery shop, attend churches. Like, there's just a lot of stuff going on. And for those who have already been overwhelmed, whether it's with their everyday routine, whether it's school, work, whatever the case may be, now they have things like this to worry about. And, it's affecting schooling. Places are going on lockdown as soon as they hear about a threat. And, so, it's just kind of sad to see, especially with like elementary kids. Like, I won't even get into it how I want to get into it. But I mean, yeah, it's just a lot going on, man.
What you got, bro?
Man, bro, I honestly think mentally within this country we've been programmed. Honestly, we've been programmed to react a certain way with everything. And it's such a complex but simple answer to give as far as like what's going on with our mental health, is because we've really just been following somebody else's model of how we're supposed to live our lives. And because we've been following somebody else's model of how we're supposed to live our lives, in a sense, we're psychologically homeless. Because what do we have? What do you fall back on? You know what I mean? When times trouble you. You know what I mean? What do you fall back on when times trouble you? That may be different, but what will make it a whole lot better if we had something unified to fall back on when times trouble.
I like that.
But still,
no, yeah,
you can answer the question.
Yeah. I think really, so going back to even what Mark said, so he said the feeling overwhelmed. I think a lot of the times we use overwhelmed as an excuse to be busy or something, and sometimes we are overwhelmed. A lot of the times it's hard to judge someone else being overwhelmed because we don't all have the same mental functionalities, and You know what I mean? Every brain cell ain't the same for each person. Every trigger point, everything like that isn't the same. So the sensitivity levels for some may be different from others. Like for me, I know like it's harder. I understand mental health partially because I witnessed firsthand. I've seen people break down, get emotional about things that normally I would just look over. And then when you see somebody else crying and shut down, their body shuts down, they fall to the ground because of something that was easily said, then you look at mental health as a different thing. Luckily, that situation of somebody's body falling down, somebody breaking down into tears, is a safer point than someone being bullied in a school and then they go from being bullied to then being an attacker and using aggression like things to prove their point of, hey, I'm being bullied, leave me alone. So I think that a lot of the times we don't understand this. Like, why does someone like jump? Why do people jump others? Right? Why do people rob people? Well, there's a trigger point in that. They've had enough of something, right? Whether you've had enough of being broke, you've had enough of being in this situation to where you don't have this, you don't have that. You've had enough of the situation of being bullied to where people just keep messing with you, poking at you. So then when that trigger goes off, I'm not giving anybody an excuse because violence isn't an excuse, but everybody is not wired different. And 7 to 8 billion deep, we do have to understand it. So when that trigger goes off, it's like you can't really control that person. So I think back to what he was saying, having that system of, okay, this is what you lean on when times are hard, rather than having that system of, well, until my brain shuts down my whole body and I fall to the ground crying, then how do I manage this? So I think that system needs to be put into place in a lot of places. So that's really all I have for that. Just because, like I said, like I don't think that shooting anybody or anything like that is the answer. That's definitely not the answer. But at the same time, what better do we know than every week seeing that on TV now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Seeing something like that in a movie, seeing something like that in a cartoon, seeing expressions move, because we have these mindsets and people now. Everybody has a free voice. So you got people on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube, making videos and posts and rituals, building a fan base of negativity. When that negativity then becomes followed by someone who feels connected to it, because all they got was negativity from the people around them. So, yes.
Just to kind of talk about it's a somewhat different topic. The person that did the grocery shopping shooting in Buffalo, he wrote a 180-page manifesto, and all it was detailing his reasons for shooting them, and things like that. And honestly, he pleads not guilty, of course. And ultimately, though I don't think he's crazy. See, I'm trying to tread lightly because I know Mark Zuckerberg on our blog. I don't know. It's just, I feel like, a lot of things. Yeah, I'm going to just tread lightly. You feel me? Yeah. Nah, My fault. Just forget it, cuz.
And it's a reason why you're trying to tread lightly, like you said, is because Mark Zuckerberg owns this platform. You know what I'm saying? The TVs, who owns these TV broadcasting companies, these cartoon companies? It's like what we go to for entertainment or information is being ran by the same people. But really understanding that in order to we are actively participating in their watch cycle in a sense. Watch this, do this, this happens. Watch this, do this, this happens. Now everybody is going to react differently to that. You feel what I'm saying? We all living in the same thing, but then you got pretty much 1, 2 to 3 different reactions to that. You either with that, you feel me, that life, you in between, or you not with that and you trying to separate yourself and do something else. But the entity is there that we have to go around it. So now it's really about, like you said, now it's really about setting up institutions. You know what I mean? Because that's really going to be the only way for us to really create change. Because people, like you said, people go off what they see. So a lot of these things are creating mental real estate in our headspace. You know what I mean? So that's really what we really got to start understanding the game. The game is played here. We have to get into more mental headspace of our people, but the physical is where a lot of people is drawing off of that. So it all plays a role in what's going on, I would say. So yeah, really getting more concerted efforts with that. And also the food that we eating too plays a huge part in our entire mental process. That's where we getting our energy. So is this where you getting what we're getting our energy from? This type of energy we're gonna put out.
All right, y'all. Just moving to the topic of the physical diseases. Really, I think the biggest thing that I've learned, not saying that this is an every 4-year thing, you know, but there's patterns to this stuff. And you know, I don't not to spread too much light on, like, you know, things that have happened thousands of years ago, but just recent times. Think about COVID-19, right? When COVID-19 initially happened, before the actual, I guess you could say, virus hit the United States, what were you guys' first experience
Of COVID?
Yeah, what was your first thought, like hearing it on the news, not knowing what it was? What was your first thought?
I mean, it was a deadly disease and it was traveling fast.
That's all you knew.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I didn't really think of it like that. When I first heard about it, normally, like when it was first introduced, the main thing that they were saying was, oh, just make sure that you're washing your hands, make sure that you're washing your hands. So to me, I'm like, okay, if that's all we have to do to stop it from spreading, it ain't that big of a deal. Like, that's how I felt. And then, you know, when they were shutting down the schools, I'm like, what? We just got to wash our hands. Like, why are y'all shutting down the schools and stuff? But then, of course, you know, once people started dying and it became like bigger and more information was put out about it, that's when I started to take it serious.
Yeah. I definitely didn't take it serious at first. I honestly didn't take it serious until they canceled the NBA season. I was like, oh, this is serious.
When does this happen?
Hey, this is serious.
I feel you. When they started buying up all the
NBA
toilet
season?
paper,
Yeah.
when they started buying up all the toilet paper, I was just completely confused because I'm like, I thought this
Why
was
toilet
a
paper out of all
respiratory.
things?
Yeah.
I was saying, I thought this was a respiratory issue. Like, it ain't say nothing about bowel movements. What's going on? Like, I was very confused.
I think really I think the first time I heard it, I was like, man, like, dang, it's another like Ebola, right? Because Ebola was like a thing that went on across the, but it didn't spread, and it was more of an issue there rather than being spreaded here. right? Just because of the medicine and stuff like that. Like it had been an ongoing thing. But really, when COVID happened, I think place time, I think I was just probably like, man, like I was at work and they was like, yeah, you gonna get corona, like something like that. And I'm like, bro, like, why is y'all playing? But we was like, somebody was like, this is serious. Like, and I was like, oh man. And then like the next week, like, you know, they're like telling us that we can't have like guests in our restaurant and stuff, and we'd have to like make precautions, make sure we clean every single thing after somebody touches it. Then we're like, okay, that's crazy. Then they're like, okay, we're shutting the whole restaurant down. And then I was like, what? Like, where I'm like, everybody's like scattering, like looking for jobs because they're like, how am I pay my bills? But then at the same time, like, I think the biggest thing for me was like not to scatter, but just in that moment of time, like, was I able to like support myself without like for maybe a month or two without income, right? Without that ongoing income. So then I was like, okay, cool, I'm good. Boom. Then I was like, yeah, this shit ain't cool. I've been at the house. I can't even. Y'all don't even want us to go outside. Like we got a curfew. Like when do we ever have a curfew? Like then you start thinking of like purge stuff you see on movies and stuff like that. Toilet paper and all that other stuff, and then it starts to happen, right? So typical purge stuff, right? As soon as George Floyd had passed away, and that was something that had came up, this week too, is the second year of that incident. But as soon as George Floyd had passed away, everybody went crazy. Like the combination of not having anything to do, like having unemployment income, and then just being at home and seeing on the news like a black man getting killed by a police officer, having a reason and having the initiative to say, oh, we got time now. We going downtown. Next thing you know, the safe protests become violent, right? Because of the police. And then we react with, well, we're going to break into everything. Not saying we as a community, but just overall general population react. I remember going downtown, everything was boarded up. People had broken into the Soul Street shoes. People was stealing hats, clothes, sports fan stuff, selling it. Like it was an influx of stuff. Like they was going into trains, robbing them big trucks. Like it was crazy. So when I seen that, then I was like, I ain't never seen nothing like this before. But
yeah, I think
go ahead.
It's something. I don't know, man. It's something really ironic about that. About that whole situation of like, you feel me? We supposed to be socially distancing, but then in the middle of this whole social distance, stay at home thing, they pull this move. Now people that's supposed to be distances away from each other is crowded in a small area everywhere while this is going on. But not only that, afterwards, it ain't no large breakout like that. Never mind. Let me stop. My bad, Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah. So really just like looking at that whole situation, I'm just like, man, like, that was something I pray that we never experience that in our lives again. Because like even coming out of it, COVID is real, first of all. It is a huge respiratory thing. I think we've lost like many people like close to us. I know many celebrities. Like if you're thinking about like Debo, like he passed away because of COVID and respiratory issues, having COVID twice. Just different celebrities too, and people in the Black, white, Asian, whatever community that being affected on them. So I'd really just think that as a community, if we can get together positively and make sure that we're doing the right things to help each other, then I think everything will go in the right place, whether you believe in vaccines or not. But to this monkeypox thing, has anybody heard of the monkeypox situation?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I looked it up just to see what it was. But I've seen that it's not as what's the word?
Available.
Transmittable.
Yeah, those. But it doesn't, it's not passed as easily and stuff like that. So I'm once again, unfortunately, not taking it as serious because it has to be like heavy duty type of contact. So, and then, it's only one case as of now. So hopefully that case turns into 0 and we can just move forward. But I mean, we'll see what happens.
Go ahead, Mark.
I mean, basically what Aja said. I mean, yeah, heard it from a friend, an older gentleman. I mean, and he's in the medical field, so he hears about those type of cases and stuff like that. But yeah, I really don't know more than what Aja shared.
So for me, I remember like maybe a week or two ago hearing about monkeypox, and then just like was like, okay, like what is it? It's in like 1 or 2 states. It was in 1 or 2 states like a week ago, and I was like, damn, like. Then I looked it up, and I was like, that. Nah. I looked like people's skin boiling, and I'm like, no, like. Not again. That's my first thing. Like, not again. And then after that, now I'm looking this up. USA Today. Monkeypox is now in 7 states in the United States. So with it being in 7 states, I'm more interested in like just. Is there like just knowing more about it and just educating myself, just making sure that I do know more about it. But B, like, I think it's said to be like you can have skin to skin contact with an infected person, but how do you know that person's infected, right? Kind of like the COVID situation, you don't show symptoms, but are you infected? So just getting educated on that really too. What you got?
This is crazy.
He said, "This is crazy."
This is crazy. We getting trolled. That's what we getting trolled, man. We are getting trolled. It's just dangling because this ain't one thing. It's another. Monkeypox, COVID, Ebola. Ebola is actually like it's kind of like like I was watching the Wayans brothers. And they was talking about Ebola like on there. I thought it was like something new at first.
Even coronavirus is old.
It's
just the form of coronavirus.
Yeah.
Developed and evolved and got mutated because of them playing with it in science.
Yeah, bro. So
science,
and that's how they probably got monkeypox, playing around with stuff.
Yeah, playing around with stuff, and that was even So
yeah, but even that you can go further. AIDS for that, venereal disease, syphilis. The Spanish flu, like
it's a whole lot.
Take all of that into account. You feel me?
Wear your mask.
Right. Wash your hands. Cleanliness is next to godliness, so stay clean. Honestly, that's the moral of the story. Stay clean. Stay clean. Clean your body. You know what I'm saying? Not only that, eat the proper foods. Man, yeah, this is literally take care of your entity season for real. That's the major lesson. Be touching people. Random people.
Well, anybody got anything else?
Really not. I think the biggest thing for me, just the awareness. Like I say, I just encourage everybody to joking about it too. Like, it's one thing, but just try to educate yourself. Make sure you find a reliable source. Like, Facebook is not a reliable source. Some types of news places are not reliable sources because they just tell you something that they heard about,
right?
Rather than it being a real source. So some places are, some places aren't. try to get the best of what you know overall. And yeah, I think really that's the best I can say, because at this point, shoot,
This is what I would say is this is the importance of STEM programs in our community. We need to ignorance is our only true enemy. You know what I mean? If we got people working on our people specifically, knowing the sciences of all of these different diseases, man, we could come up with cures on our own, bro. Like that's where I'm at. Like science. Let's get more into science. Let's understand. Let's get to the base root of all of these causes of all of these diseases and figure out how to reverse engineer that. That's what, man.
and immunity is a big factor.
For real, science. You know what I mean? That's our only way out of all of this. Understand the problem, we can understand the solution.
Heard you. Well, with this being said, I'd like to invite you all. Well, first and foremost, thank you for everyone who watched the podcast. Very much appreciated. I'd like to invite everyone here now to go ahead and like all of our social media pages. We have our main page, Make a Chess Move. Next is our Make a Culture Move.
Hello.
And then we have our YouTube at Make a Chess Move -Macam. Our virtual artist storytelling, which is coming up real soon. Check out our website, which you will see all of our upcoming
Wait, what?
workshops and things like that. We do have a workshop coming up. Matter of fact, virtually, it will be the 30th through the 1st. And our Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Pinterest is all Macam303. So again, I'd like to encourage everybody to leave a like, make sure you comment and interact with us. With that being said, cop some Macam apparel, and y'all have a good day. Macam out there, man. Oh, our safe zone, if y'all tapped in, you feel me? Our safe zone is today. Make sure y'all tap in with us, man. It's going to be fun. With that being said,